Okay, perfect. Alrighty, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the How to Apply for Fairfax County Jobs workshop. I'm so excited that you're here today. My name is Nhu-An. I'm an HR consultant with the Department of Human Resources Employment Division. The purpose of today's workshop is to essentially provide you with an overview of the county's application and hiring process, and also provide you with some practical tips that you'll hopefully find useful as you consider and apply for Fairfax County jobs. So this is our agenda for today. I will go over the application basics, followed by some application tips. I'll also provide a overview of the county's hiring process, guide you on how to check your application status, and also provide you a brief overview of our interviewing process. At the end of the workshop, I will open it up to any questions and answer those. And we do ask you to save or hold your questions towards the end, only because I have a lot of information content that I want to present to you today. And I will certainly make sure that I will stay after this presentation to answer any questions that may arise as well. But to kick us off, and before I get into the meat of the presentation, I'm going to start with a poll. And the poll is as follows. Which of the following statement best applies to you as it relates to the Fairfax County job application process within the past year? And there's several options or answer options for you to select. This is just to get a good pulse on what your experience has been within the past year with Fairfax County job application process. The answer options are as follows. A, I have not submitted an application. B, I've submitted an application but was not placed on a referral list. C, I've submitted an application and was placed on a referral list. Or D, I've submitted an application, was placed on a referral list, and was invited to an interview for a position. And Anne, if you can run that poll.
I will, if you could just do you one moment, and happy to do that. Thank you. Let me get out of it.
Again, no right or wrong answer, just to get a good sense of where you've been with your experience with the Fairfax County application process specifically.
And everybody should see the poll now. I love it when technology works.
Yay.
If you have any questions for Nhu-An, please put your questions in chat. And after her presentations, I will ask her as many questions as possible. And then she'll be able to join chat afterwards and pick up where we left off, and she'll respond directly to you. But in the interim, please put your questions in chat and address it to everyone.
Alrighty, I'll end the poll and show the results. So it looks like the majority of our participants today have not submitted an application. Some of you have submitted but were not placed on a referral list, and a few have actually made it to an interview. So again, this presentation is essentially to guide you through the process, give you the basic tools on knowing and getting to know how to apply, and then walk you through the steps thereafter. So let's talk about the application basics, where to apply. I'm going to first start by saying that you don't have to be a Fairfax County resident to apply to any of our Fairfax County job opportunities. You can live wherever, as long as you're able to travel to our various work sites. But we utilize a job application system called Government Jobs. And there are two ways to access it and view all of our available job opportunities. The first is through the Fairfax County website itself, which is www.fairfaxcounty.gov. And then the latter is through the government jobs website itself, www.governmentjobs.com/careers/Fairfax County. You do not need to write any of this down. I will provide you with all of the available links and information that is discussed today after this presentation. If you visit the Fairfax County website first, it will take you directly to the government jobs platform. For visualization purposes, this is what the Fairfax County main page looks like. From there, and in order to get to our open job opportunities, you can click on the jobs link, and then the job web page will display where you have several options to select from. To get to the current openings, you click on Current Openings, and that will take you then directly to the government jobs portal where we house all of our open vacancies. There are a couple things to note as you're perusing our job opportunities. Um, all of our new opportunities are posted on Saturdays at 12:01 a.m. There's a closing date to each of our job postings. It's always on a Friday at 11:59 p.m. The advertisement length for each of our job announcement is typically 2 weeks. For our harder to fill positions, executive level positions, or nursing positions, police officers, we may extend the advertisement length beyond the 2 weeks. The reason why I'm mentioning these key data is you need to be aware that since there are closing dates posted on each of our job announcement, you must submit an online application by the advertised closing date. If you miss that date, that means you also miss the opportunity to submit an application to the opportunity and to be further considered. So again, make sure as you're perusing our job opportunities that you pay close attention to the closing date and make sure that you apply well before the closing date. As you're perusing the job opportunities, you can sort by job title, salary range, the closing, and the posted date. You can also use the filter function and filter by the category, the department that the job is housed in, the location, as well as a job number. Every and each of our job announcement has a job number associated with it. And then lastly, you'll also be able to use the search function at the left-hand side here. Any keyword items that you place in that search bar, whether it's within the title or within the job announcement itself, those job opportunities will then populate. The first thing we always tell candidates is to save yourself time is to set up job alerts. For those unfamiliar with job alerts is essentially a function by which you receive automated email notifications of new Fairfax County job opportunities as soon as they arise or are posted. In order to set up job alerts, click on the menu button at the top left. That will then display the menu options. From the menu options, you select job alerts, and that will take you to the job alerts webpage. From there, you can select up to 118 different job categories. You can select as many as you'd like, whichever is within your field of interest. Once you click the subscribe button, you will then be asked to fill out a job interest card with your first name, last name, and your email address. By clicking the submit button, your job alert subscription will then take effect and it will be valid for a 1 year period. During that 1 year period, you can make as many updates or changes to your job alert subscription as you'd like. And as you near the 1 year mark, you will receive an email notification asking you whether you'd like to continue your job alert subscription. Again, this is a huge time saver so that you do not have to revert back to our job page every Saturday to check out what new opportunities are there. Further basics. So let's talk about creating a government jobs account and an applicant profile. Remember, any and all job opportunities, merit opportunities that you're interested in, you must submit an online application. So as you're perusing the various jobs, you click on a job title that will then display the job announcement. As you're reading through the job announcement and you are interested in it, you click on the apply button, and then that will take you to the government jobs login portal. From the portal, you can either create an account or you can sign in using a username or email and existing password. For visualization purposes, this is what the government jobs portal looks like as a user, an applicant. You can start an applicant profile by uploading your resume from a computer or desktop. Sometimes when uploading a resume, the content of your resume may not properly parse into the various application fields. So what we typically recommend in those cases is to simply do a copy and paste from your resume into the various application fields that you'll be asked to complete. On the left-hand side, you'll see the various steps within our application or fields within our application that you will be asked to complete. Some of the fields are required, others are optional, and I will go through each of every of these steps shortly. If you walk away with anything, I always tell applicants, please remember that the application is the primary tool Fairfax County uses to evaluate a candidate's job qualifications. So what that means is you must submit and complete the application in its entirety in order for us to review your candidacy and consider your candidacy. If you simply attach a resume to your application, you'll quickly notice that you are getting disqualified for the opportunity. So again, remember make sure to complete the actual application. Don't just attach a resume to your profile. But let's talk about the individual steps first. The first step is to complete your general information. You're completed by indicating your first, last name, your address. While it's not an required field, we do recommend always including a phone number whereby we can reach you, only because once and if you get to that stage of being referred for an opportunity, the hiring agency will reach out to you either via email or a phone call. The reason why we mentioned to indicate and include your legal first and last name is because sometimes we come across individuals or applicants that include a nickname or an abbreviated version of their name. But this is, again, the application here with Fairfax County is the official tool we utilize to not only rate and rank and review your candidacy, but also for post-recruitment activities, so to onboard you here with us. Following the general information section, you'll be asked to complete the work experience section. You'll quickly see, and we're going to move through the various steps, our application closely mirrors a resume format. So the work experience section will ask typically the same information that you usually include in a resume. So it'll ask for the company that you've worked for, the duration, the start and end date, a position title, as well as a summary of your duties. Here with the county, we also ask for hours worked per week because we calculate your years of service in full-time equivalency. So make sure, and it is a required field, that you enter in the correct hours worked per week for each employer that you're including in your application. Make sure to provide accurate start and end dates as applicable. And then the most important section I always tell candidates is the duty summary section. Okay, and I'll go into that in further detail shortly. So the duty summary section, again, this is within the work experience section. Please make sure you describe your role and responsibilities in the full extent and as detailed as possible. Provide the full scope of work that you've done per employer. Provide any quantitative data that you can so that we understand the scope of work that you are able to perform and have performed. Provide any relevant soft and technical skills as it pertains to the positions that you've worked in or roles that you've worked in. Make sure to include any accomplishments, so awards, recognitions, certifications, and licenses. And then we also, which I will provide after the session, have a site where we provide action verbs for candidates to utilize that may help you within your application in describing your various roles and responsibilities. For the county here, remember, you are submitting an application. So unlike a resume within the private sector that will they typically ask you to keep it short, right? 1 or 2 pager. But with a county here, we do not have any character or page limits within our application process. So you can be as descriptive, as detailed as you like. And I always recommend candidates to be as descriptive as possible so we understand your full scope of work. Because not only are we reviewing your candidacy and your experience, but we're also comparing it to the other candidates that have applied for that same position. And again, only the best qualified candidates will be forwarded to the hiring agency for further review and consideration. So the more detail you can provide around these key items that are listed here, the better. Following the work experience section is the education section. Again, quite self-explanatory. We'll ask for the school name, the location of the school, and then most importantly, if you completed a major or a degree, make sure you also include the major and minor. While it's not a required field, we always tell candidates to make sure to provide that so that we can ensure that we are giving you the proper credit for your education. For those that have not completed a degree, we always ask to include the units completed and unit type for the college coursework that you have completed towards a degree, because we will be providing you with credit if it is relevant to the position that you're applying to. Um, these are not required fields. The start date and end date for your degrees or education are not required. But if you do indicate a start and end date, we do ask you to include and answer whether or not you graduated. Following the education section is an additional information section. Here you can provide copies of and list any certifications and licenses that pertains to the position or the that you're applying to and or that you possess. You can also add any skills or languages or any other supplemental information that you like that you think are relevant to the position that you're applying to. I always tell candidates, make sure you include any of these pertinent information if it is relevant to the position you're applying to. Following that comes the attachment section. In the attachment section, you can attach anything you'd like, whether it's a resume, cover letter, a copy of your license or certifications. The attachment section is an optional section, and they only serve for supplemental information only. Again, we do not review any resume attachments that you include in this section. So make sure that you keep that in mind and make sure that you actually complete all of the fields that we just discussed previously. After the attachment section comes the agency-wide questions and supplemental questions. Um, Agency-wide questions are job-related information, primarily to provide statistics needed to evaluate our recruitment program and for statistical reports required by the federal, state, and local agencies. Supplemental questions, on the other hand, are job-related information pertaining to, and in order to evaluate a candidate's education, training, and experience as it relates to the position that you're applying to. Once you complete all of the required sections, you'll be asked to certify your application by clicking the Accept button. Following that, you'll get prompted to a new screen where you'll receive a message indicating that your application has been successfully submitted. In addition to this screen, you will also receive a confirmation email, okay, with the following information. It will provide you with additional information about our hiring process as well as application process. Make sure after you submit your application that you actually check for that email. If you don't see it in your regular inbox, make sure you check your junk mail and make sure it is there. If you do not see a confirmation email, that means your application was not successfully submitted. So you'll have to go back and resubmit. So let's talk about a couple of more of our application tips. Again, these are practical tips, nothing earth-shattering, but something to pay attention to and consider as you're looking at applying to Fairfax County jobs. The first thing we always tell candidates is to thoroughly review and study the job announcement. Use it as your roadmap because there's a multitude and plethora of information provided to you by the hiring agency. And this is just an example of what a standard job announcement looks like. And I'll dive deeper into the various sections right now. At the top portion, you'll always see a salary range for the position, the job type, whether it's full-time or part-time, the department that the position works in, as well as the closing date. Remember, the closing date is really important because you must submit your online application by that date and time. It will also include information about the location. As mentioned previously, each of our job announcement has a job number associated with it. And then also it lists the opening date as well and the respective pay grade um, responding to the salary range that you see listed here. Following that top portion with the information, you'll also receive information about the job announcement and job description itself. This is really important because this content comes exactly from the actual hiring agency. It's a collaborative effort where the Department of Human Resources works with the hiring agency to develop this job announcement that you see and read. It will always include a job description, the various stakeholders that you might be working with, the role itself, and the duties corresponding to the role. It will also include any other pertinent information that may be important to you. In this case, this is just an example. The hiring agency lists here in the note at the bottom that the salary offer will not exceed the midpoint of the listed salary range. Following the job announcement section, you'll see our employment standards. Each of our job announcement and position has employment standards associated with it. It will list minimum qualifications, which are essentially those qualifications that every candidate must minimally meet in order to be considered. You'll see many of our job announcement has that language that you see here listed in blue, any combination of education, experience, and training equivalent to the following. This really means that we will utilize education and experience and substitute it for the other if you do not have the listed experience or education. So if you do not have the listed bachelor's degree or master's degree or whatever degree is listed, we will substitute the relevant experience that you have for that degree if you do not possess that degree, and vice versa. If you do not have the experience, but you have the relevant degree, we will give you credit for that. You'll also see necessary special requirements listed. This includes any background checks that may be pertinent to the position and that you will need to go through if and once selected for the opportunity. And then preferred qualifications. This is, qualifications that candidates ideally should possess to be considered amongst the best qualified for the position. I always tell candidates, if you see a long list of preferred qualifications, don't get discouraged. This is just an added plus to your repertoire. So if you have any of the listed preferred qualifications, obviously the more you meet, the better. But make sure you also demonstrate that on the application that you're submitting. Under physical requirements, you'll see any physical requirements that is, again, respective to the position. And all of our physical requirements are performed with or without reasonable accommodations. And then lastly, you'll see the selection procedure, which showcases the format and process. All of the county's selection procedures include a panel interview. In some cases, they may also include a practical exercise. It's all dependent on the hiring agency. Following the employment standards, section, you'll see the supplemental questions. Again, these are pertinent um, to the position that you're applying to and will speak to your job qualifications. The first set of questions, I would say 1 to 7 questions, will be respective to the minimum standards that you see listed in the job announcement. Any subsequent questions that you see, and this is just an example, will be pertaining to the preferred qualifications that you see listed in a job announcement. We always tell candidates, please ensure that you respond to the supplemental questions truthfully and also match your answers to your application. So say, for instance, you answer one of the questions here previously. Question number 10 asks, how many years of full-time equivalent experience do you have performing accounting, operational, financial, or program internal controls, reviews, and or internal audit? So if you answer you have 5 or more years of experience for question 10, make sure the 5 years or more is demonstrated in the work experience section within your application. So we've talked about the first set of 5 application tips. We also always tell candidates to try to avoid using acronyms. If you do get the itch to use an acronym, spell it out in the first section, and then you can use the subsequent acronym thereafter. But we try to tell candidates to avoid it only because acronyms can mean different things in different industries, localities, etc. So try to spell it out first and then use the acronym thereafter. Here at the county, we do account for, give credit for any relevant volunteer or non-paid experience. So make sure you don't shortchange yourself. Include that volunteer or non-paid experience if it's relevant to the position that you're applying to. You can do it in 2 ways. You can either include it in your work experience section, or you can include it in the additional information section. We always recommend to include it in the work experience section only because the fields that we require to evaluate your candidacy are already pre-populated. So the working title is pre-populated, the dates of employment, the duty summary section is all pre-populated, and the hours worked per week is pre-populated. So make sure if you have relevant volunteer or non-paid experience that you A, included, and B, included in the work experience section. Please make sure you double check your spelling, grammar, and punctuation. While it does not disqualify you from candidacy, it's certainly something that hiring managers comment about or pay attention to. And again, make sure you fully complete your application profile, at least the required fields. Any optional fields that you see would be an added plus, but definitely and certainly make sure you complete all of the required application fields. Here at the county, you can apply to as many job opportunities as you like. You have the opportunity to set up one account or one profile, application profile. And we always tell candidates to make sure you tailor your profile to the position that you're applying to. So if you're applying to a accountant position today, but tomorrow you're going to apply to a management analyst opportunity, make sure you tailor the application to the position that you're applying to. Highlight those key items that you see listed on the job announcement, what it's in within the minimum and preferred qualifications, any relevant experience, skill sets, knowledge, abilities that you see listed that pertains to you that you have, make sure it's demonstrated on the application. And then lastly, make sure you also match the answers that you're providing to the supplemental questions in your application as well. Really important because we always audit that as we review applications submitted. Here at the county, we do not use AI. We do not use a computer function to magically screen your application. There are actually 8 HR analysts here that review and review each and every of our applications received here and determine the best qualified candidates to then submit to the hiring agency for further review and consideration. We always get asked that question, so I want to bust that myth already. Next up, I'm going to talk about the hiring process here at the county. There are several steps involved. The first step, 7 to be exact, but the first step is we post a job announcement. As I mentioned before, it's typically advertised for a 2-week time frame. During that time frame, we collect all of the applications. We do not review applications while the job announcement is posted. We review it once it actually closes. After it closes, the review process can take anywhere up to 10 business days. We then generate what we call a referred list, and the referred list is a list of the top, I would say, 10 to 15 best qualified candidates for the opportunity that we then submit to the hiring agency. Step 4 is where the hiring agency then takes over. They review the referred list, decide who they would like to interview, and set up the interview accordingly. Remember to include a working email address and a working phone number so that they can contact you directly. Once the interview process concludes, the hiring agency extends a conditional offer of employment. You then undergo the background check process. That can vary depending on which background check is pertinent to and you have to undergo. So it could be a credit, criminal, child protective services check, tuberculosis check or testing, etc. It all depends on the position that you're applying to. Lastly, once you pass all of the applicable background checks, the hiring agency is then endorsed to bring you on board. The first steps, 1 through 3, is handled by the Department of Human Resources from the job postings until the referred list is generated, the list of the top qualified candidates. All the subsequent steps, the interview phase until the closing phase, the hiring phase, is handled by the hiring agency. In some instances, this is why you see 2 asterisks here. Step 2, in some cases, step 2 is a shared responsibility by which the Department of Human Resources reviews for minimum qualifications, and then the hiring agency reviews for preferred qualifications and generates the referred list from then on. So how to check your application status? Once you submit an application, you can always check your application. So we try not to keep you in the dark, right? So we always want to be as transparent as possible to let you know where you are here within our process. On the left-hand side, you'll see the application steps. There are 4 steps within our system. Number 1, application received. Number 2 is screened for minimum qualifications. Third step is screened for preferred qualifications. And then 4th step, last step, is referred to agency for possible interview. Those are the steps that you'll see in your application. On the right-hand side, you'll see the application statuses. Okay, or the disposition codes is what we call it here internally, but the application status pertaining to the step that you may be in. If you are referred to an agency, step number 4, you'll see referred to agency for possible interview. That means you might be called in for an interview. But the hiring agency is only required to interview 50% plus 1 of the referred list. So for example, if the Department of Human Resources provides the hiring agency with a list of top 10 best qualified candidates, they are required to interview at least, at a minimum, 6 of those 10 candidates. For visualization purposes, as you are logging back into your government jobs account, you will click on or hover over first your name on the right-hand side and then click on applications. Once you click on applications, that will take you to your applications history. You'll see 2 tabs. On the left, you'll see submitted, and on the right, you'll see incomplete. If you want to check an application status, you click on your submitted tab and then click on the history link. It's very tiny, unfortunately, but this is where you'll click in order to see your application history. Once you click on that history link, that will display the application history. It will give you an exact date and timestamp for each of the steps that you've gone through. In this case, or in this example, this candidate was screened for the preferred qualifications, but then you see a status does not meet some preferred qualifications. So that will indicate to the candidate that they did not move forward or were not referred for the opportunity. The application history actually will be available to all candidates approximately 10 business days after job announcement closes. A little bit about our interview process here at the county. Once you get referred, if you're called in for an interview, the hiring agency, as I mentioned, will reach out to you directly via email or phone. All of our interviews here is a panel interview format, meaning 3 or more members. It's typically and should be a structured format, meaning there's a set of pre-developed interview questions that the hiring agency developed to pose to each of the candidates that they're interviewing. Each candidate receives the same set of questions that they need to answer in order to be evaluated on the same criteria. Some of our interview processes, as I mentioned earlier, may include an exercise, but you will always see that on the job announcement. And as you are scheduled for the interview, the hiring agency will make you aware and remind you of that as well, and may include information about that exercise as well. All of our interviews have a set time allotted, again, based on the hiring agency's determination. It could be 45 minutes, it could be an hour and a half, whatever the case may be, but you'll always be informed in advance how long or how much time you're allotted for your interview. All of our candidates are rated on a scale of 1 through 7. The candidate that scores the highest is then extended the offer or the contingent offer, and then starts once all background checks have been successfully passed and conducted. So in summary, make sure you set up the job alerts so you don't have to save yourself time and you don't have to frequent our career page every Saturday to see what's new. Make sure you remember that the application is the official documentation that we review, rate, and rank and utilize to evaluate your candidacy. While you can attach a resume in the attachment section, we do not review any resume attachments. Now, a lot of people ask, well, then why do you let us attach any documents? Typically, that is then reviewed by the hiring agency once you're referred for the opportunity. But for the screening process itself, we do not utilize the attachment section. Please make sure you, again, compare and match the job announcement to your resume and experience and use it as a roadmap. Make sure as you're answering these supplemental questions, answer it accordingly to your experience and match your answers to the application that you're submitting. Always include relevant volunteer or non-paid experience. And then most importantly, make sure you submit your application as soon as possible, well before the closing date. And we hope to see you on Team Fairfax. I'm going to include some information here. Any applicant inquiries that you may have, you can always contact us at dhremployment@fairfaxcounty.gov. All the information presented today can be found on our webpage here, fairfaxcounty.gov/HR. And then you can always follow us on LinkedIn as well, where we post all of our job events, all of our job opportunities, and any news and updates. You do not need to save anything or screenshot anything. I will provide all of these links to Anne to then forward to you, and you can then utilize it from there. But with that said, if we still have time, I'll open up to questions and I'll also be in the chat thereafter.
We do have questions, Nhu-An, and I will let you know where we leave off when our time is up. We have about quite a few questions, so let me get started. Open up my word sheet here. Okay, first question is, someone saw a job posting on Fairfax County is required a Virginia's driver's license. Does that mean a Maryland or DC resident cannot hold the position?
It should not say Virginia, but it may ask for a driver's license depending on the position that it is. So driving may be required. It does not have to be a Virginia driver's license, no.
Okay, and I know you answered this right when you started your presentation, but if you
Yeah.
would please repeat, how often are jobs posted on the Fairfax County website, and is there a specific day they are posted?
Yes, so we post new job opportunities weekly every Saturday, 12:01 a.m. Every Saturday, you'll see a new job opportunities. And remember, there's a closing date associated for each of the job opportunities you see posted. So pay close attention to the closing date because you must submit that online application before that closing date. Don't wait till the last minute. We have a few of those have happened before where they wait till 11:59, which is when the job announcement closes. They try to click at 12 in the morning, 12 a.m., and they will quickly see that it didn't go through. So
Yeah,
don't wait to the last minute. Give yourself enough time, and make sure you apply within or by that deadline.
thank you. This person said if you submitted an application and never heard anything back, would answer B be the appropriate response? This is from your survey. So,
So, okay. So as I mentioned, we never leave applicants in the dark. While you will not get a personalized email or phone call about your application status, you will be able to check your application status, as I showed earlier, by going back to your government jobs account and by clicking on the applications tab and then the history link. It's really important to click on that history link. It was teeny tiny, but that's where you'll see your application history.
mhm.
So candidates will always be able to see their application status, typically 10 business days after a job announcement closes, because remember, we have that review or screening phase where we take the time to review each and every of the applications that we receive, and that can take 10 business days. So that's why I say it will be available 10 business days after a job announcement closes.
Okay. And are all Fairfax County jobs participant in VRS if one is accepting VRS retirement currently, if working full-time? Would they have to forego the benefits to begin working full-time in Fairfax County government job? Um,
No, so benefits is all dependent on the position itself. They're not all tied to VRS.
okay. Are all Fairfax, okay, then are references required before an interview?
No. So there is a reference section in the application. Fairfax County government, we do not contact reference until a contingent offer is extended, and agencies will notify you once they're ready to do those reference checks. They should be telling you in advance when they will contact your references.
Okay.
But no,
And
it's not required.
okay, that's good. Someone asked, they're looking at the website, but the links are not accessible.
If you can share the links and I can double check, they should all be available. But yes, if you could message me the links that you're trying
That,
to reach, that'll be great. So I can
yeah,
look into it.
excellent. Um, and it's Nhu-An, Nhu-An, and then White is her last name, Nhu-An White, and you'll see that in chat. The next question is, what is the typical timeline for filling a senior program management position within Fairfax County government?
So I get asked that question a lot. It all depends because it becomes a decentralized process. Once we generate that referral list, the list of the top 10, 15 best qualified candidates, we send that to the hiring agency for further review and consideration. They sometimes move very quickly and they sometimes can take a little longer. We always tell agencies to try to hire within 30 to 60 days upon receipt, but that includes everything, right? From the interviewing phase up until a
Mhm.
hire is extended. So I would say it always varies, but we try to fill it as quickly as possible and remind and impart on agencies to move quickly because we know, you may find other opportunities elsewhere.
Okay, and someone asked, could you please post the link with action verbs in chat?
Yes, I will.
Eh,
I will.
Okay, And if you do that, Nhu-An, if you could post it to everyone, and I'll make sure that
Yes.
gets included in the package. Thanks.
Yes, at the end of the session, to everyone here, I will provide Anne with all of the materials that were discussed today and the various links that you can access to this information or to the various information.
Okay, now we do need to wrap up right now. We do have more questions. So
Mhm.
Leanne, or I'm sorry, Leanne, Nhu-An. It's been that kind of morning. We left off at 10:33 this morning
Okay,
with a question about does Fairfax County use AI to sort through applications, which we know, I think is no, but
we do
that's
not.
where we left off. And you also have a job fair coming up. Is that correct?
We do, February 26th. So, especially for all those displaced federal contractors and federal employees, it will be here at the Fairfax County Government Center from 1 to 4, again, February 26th. So,
Great.
please come. We want you all here. We're ready to hire.
Excellent. And then last question, do you do these kind of trainings monthly?
I do. And what I'll do is I will include our job fairs and events link to all participants today, where you see where you can meet some of our staff and can participate in these work sessions. This particular session, how to apply to Fairfax County jobs, we provide monthly, and it's in a virtual format as well. Uh, we also pro
Wonderful.
we also provided in Spanish as well.
Ooh, cool. Nhu-An, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it. And again, 10:33 is where we left off. And everyone, Nhu-An is going to respond directly to everyone who asked the questions. And then I have the flyer for you for the job fair that's coming up. And then she'll give me the deck and I'll put that in chat as an attachment as well. So, Nhu-An, thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you. I'll be